Joining me now in the studio, along with Olivia and Andrew, is Keith Wolahan, Liberal MP. Keith Wolahan, great to see you. What do you make of this unemployment number, though? Obviously, it's up, and you never want to welcome that, but does it put further downward pressure on interest rates? Are we more likely to see rate cuts later in the year?
So no one welcomes a higher figure for unemployment. I'm on the House Economics Committee, and we've heard the RBA, the previous governor and the current governor, link higher unemployment with rising interest rates, and it's linked with inflation. What disturbed me was the Treasurer reaching for the average number. Previously, the Treasurer has grasped and claimed credit for the lower number, but he doesn't want to talk about the actual number anymore. He's now looking for the average and seeking to compare the average over 10 years. I think Australians want us to focus on the here and now.
What role do you think migration's played in this? And how important is it that the net number of people coming to the country is reduced in the next year?
I'm in a seat that has 70% of my electorate are first or second generation migrants. I'm one too. It's migrants who are telling me that we have to have a proportionate number that matches infrastructure, including green space, schools, hospitals, waiting and traffic.
Well, they're always the biggest on no more migration. Migrants, aren't they?
Well, because they know how hard it is to get here. When we go to citizenship ceremonies, I always say, I know the amount of times you've been rejected, the forms you've filled in. And so they want to see that that great gift of being an Australian is one that is not just increased to a random number, that we've put some thought behind the number matching what governments are capable of delivering.
When you talk about the problem with average, the government wants to make the comparison between where they are now and where the coalition was across its term in government at 5.6%. That's why he's making that comparison. Why is that wrong to do?
Well, I think because this government hasn't really made the transition from being in opposition to being in government. That's the sort of line an opposition would run. They're in government. They have the full resources of Treasury and all of the departments. And we're not comparing like with like. We've had COVID. We've had many other things that have changed, which the government remind us all the time.
How are you feeling about the Dunkley by-election?
I think we've got an excellent candidate. He is born in Ireland, but
he's copped a bit of stick, though.
Yeah, I don't think he has. I think he's a lovely person. He's more recently off the boat from Ireland than I was. I came as a child. But Nathan is a wonderful person. He's a 3-time mayor. He knows the area very well, and he's working his butt off as a candidate, which tells the people of Dunkley that's the sort of member they'll get if he's elected.
Can you win, though?
I think you can win every election. You never take any election for granted, and the Liberal Party's certainly not taking that for granted.
Many Liberals privately concede that the party still has a woman issue. You've got a number of high-profile Liberal women retiring, whether that be Linda Reynolds or Karen Andrews. How important is it that a woman is pre-selected in the seat of Cook? That's the first sort of by-election off the rank after Dunkley.
Well, it's clear. I love my colleagues that I sit, but we do know that I would love to have more women on our side, particularly in the House. We're doing well in the Senate. We have more work to do. The challenge for us is that we're a party, the divisions that I'm in the Victorian division, we're ruled by a constitution and we believe in democracy. So we don't just say those things as throwaway lines, we practice them. So the challenge is to bring more women through the pipeline and then have them be competitive in pre-selections, which I know they can be, and they are in many other pre-selections.
What's the reaction been like on the tax cuts? Most people welcoming them? Just be honest.
I'll always be honest. I hope you think I'm being honest. Look, of course, we haven't hammered the government on cost of living for 20 months for nothing. It's because people are telling us they're feeling the pain. And that's why we supported this, because they do need more money in their pocket now. In terms of getting correspondence afterwards, I think people are sort of banking it and then they're getting on with other things because it's the expense side of the ledger that's really hurting. That's 10 times as much of a worry as what's coming in from these tax
You've
cuts.
tweeted today that you keep a copy of the intergenerational report on your desk. What would your big plan be to address some of the enormous issues we have in terms of structural issues with the budget and ensuring that younger generations aren't left with a big mess?
Thank you for observing that. I have this desk. I call it the pool room. So if it's the Castle reference, if it's a good article, I'll come back to. I put it there, and that takes pride of place because I don't have all of the solutions. But I think we have to start by recognising the long-term structural problems for this country, and the intergenerational report is a great start. Housing is one of them. Government debt is another. And I think all sides need to turn our mind not just to the news cycle of today and next week, but what our kids and grandkids, what sort of country will leave them.
So could tweaks to negative gearing perhaps help younger generations?
Well, I'm not going to do the rule in, rule out of particular policies here. That's not looking to the long term. I think the problem with rule in, rule out, whether it's Question Time or here in the media, is I think we get focused in the 24-hour news cycle and not the problems that people sent us here to solve.
You are a Liberal, and the Liberal Party loves the family as the centre of the community and marriage as well. And today we're hearing off the back of Valentine's Day, very nice news, the Prime Minister's now engaged. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I actually had the great honour of, when I stood to move the amendment for the tax changes, to say to him on Hansard that congratulations. I think it's a wonderful moment for him. I wish him the very best, and it's a good news story.
It is indeed. Keith Wolahan, appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon.